We're going to switch gears a little bit. We're talking about now that the snow is starting to melt, we know that it's time to start kind of your spring landscaping. It's a very important part. Pruning your trees is what we're talking about. We've spoke with friends of Grand Rapids Parks, and they tell us why.
Sometimes we also partner with other folks in other neighboring cities to be able to provide that expertise and the resources and the knowledge that we have that we can share with just regular folks, so that they have the skills needed to be able to kind of continue to do the work that we're trying to accomplish with our mission as far as increasing the urban tree canopy for the benefit both for wildlife as well as humans, but also have the confidence and knowledge to be able to do so on their own terms, in their own yards, in their own neighborhoods. The real goal of all of this is to kind of remove some of those mental hurdles that people might encounter when it comes to like, okay, yeah, I like trees, but I mean, what do you do to take care of them? What do I need to do about that? Or what can I do about that? And so our neighborhood forester program really, the tree pruning class is one of the 4 classes that we typically teach. We do a class all about advocacy and kind of an intro to environmental justice, talking about the why, like why trees, and really kind of introduce that concept of why we should be advocating for trees. We do a tree planting class so folks know the proper way to plant a tree and maintain it once it's planted. So again, they can increase that canopy at their own discretion in their own space, as well as move to motivate their cities or municipalities to add tree canopy as well. That's publicly beneficial. We also teach a class on tree identification. That's usually our most popular one. We usually go to a great park with lots of trees. Again, it's hard to know how to take care of something if you don't know what it is. So that's a big component of even the tree pruning class, which is the 4th class. Again, knowing what you have has a lot to do with how you take care of it. So the tree pruning class specifically will get into all the techniques to use hand tools, specifically not chainsaws. We do everything with hand saws. And really giving the techniques to how to properly prune, trees as well as some woody shrubs. And again, pruning, especially on younger trees, is really critical for their long-term health and development. So if you want to avoid having a problematic tree later in that tree's life, the best thing you can do is prune it for healthy form early on. And so this is really focusing on how do I prune my tree to make sure it's going to do the things, provide the benefits that I want it to provide in the space that it's in, given my yard, my street, et cetera, or my property. And obviously that can look different depending on what kind of tree and where it's located, but the class will kind of cover all of those different types of scenarios and give tools to folks that can then, be able to kind of answer some of that. Like, do I need to call a certified arborist to do this? Like, this will help you answer those questions. In addition to that, our neighborhood forester program, once folks are actually able to complete all of the classes and come out and do a couple hands-on activities with us, they will become a certified neighborhood forester, which is kind of becomes an elevated volunteer, but also gives them access to all of our resources, as well as the ability to borrow our tools to specifically do work on their own property, because we know they've been trained and we know they know how to use these tools properly. So again, can help mitigate some of the cost. Like, not everyone needs to go buy a saw. Like, you can borrow one from us as a neighborhood forester. We always use the term biodiversity is really important, which really like actually having a diverse amount of species you're planting. We roughly on average plant about 1,000 street trees a year in the city of Grand Rapids public right of way. And of those, we usually have minimum 50, but usually over 70 unique species and cultivars that we plant. Big part of that too is, first of all, we have pests and diseases that affect certain trees. So emerald ash borer and Dutch elm disease historically have been 2 really, really, really challenging pests to deal with. And we've lost a lot of elm trees and ash trees as a result of that. Some of that pest and disease damage is not something you can mitigate. It's just something you have to live with. And so when historically the human mind loves symmetry, and having the same tree on the side of every street all the way up looks really great. But if something does come that damages that tree or kills that tree, then you just lost all of your canopy. So we don't do that anymore. We know better. And obviously, I always say it's rough out there for a street tree. It's a terrible place for a tree to exist. So we need to be very specific about what tree and what place and for what reason, because it really does affect A, how much benefit we're going to get out of it, and B, just how long it'll be there surviving doing all of those things. And, having street trees on your streets also increases how long people will stay and spend their money. Like, if you have a tree-lined street, people will stay longer, they'll spend more money. So again, like, let's get a tree that's going to make it.
All right, so that's pretty interesting. By the way, Friends of Grand Rapids Parks is working with several other organizations to put on Saturday's tree pruning event. It starts at 10 a.m. at the Granville Public Library. It's going to last for about 90 minutes, and they will answer your individual tree questions. If you plan to go, they ask that you do RSVP. Here's some information for you on your screen there. You can do that on the Friends of Grand Rapids Parks Facebook page. Again, they've got all of that info there. Saturday at 10, Granville Public Library. And again, make sure you RSVP if you are going to go.